In the far corner of a dying galaxy, there was a place where no law existed, where no kindness lived, where only greed and survival ruled. This place was called the Black Market of Zarnak, a dark place floating between old asteroid fields and silent moons. The smell was thick with metal, oil, and rotting things. Creatures from across the galaxy came here to sell what others refused to touch. A rusty cage stood in the center of the market. Inside the cage was a small girl no more than 9 cycles old. Her skin was pale blue, her eyes wide with fear, and her body thin and weak. She was quiet, her hands holding the cold bars like they were her last hope. One trader shouted loud and angry. "Useless trash," he said. "She eats and does nothing. She was sold to me in a package of spare ship parts and broken tools. Worthless. Maybe good as slave labor or pet food." No one came near. No one cared. They laughed and moved on, looking for weapons and real value. But then someone stepped out of the shadows. He was human. Tall, broad shoulders, face half covered with metal. One eye was cybernetic, glowing red, scanning everything around him. He walked slow, not scared like others. His name was Captain Juno. A scavenger. A nobody to some. A ghost to others. He stopped in front of the cage. The girl looked up at him, her eyes empty and tired. He looked back without a word. The trader smirked. "You want her human. You want this broken thing. Give me 1 crate of rotten fruit and she's yours." He laughed. "She's not even worth that." Captain Juno nodded without speaking. He opened a small container beside him. Inside was a crate of old bruised fruit, rotten, dark, and leaking. He handed it over. Laughter filled the air. The crowd of traders couldn't stop. Human paid food waste for flesh waste. But Juno didn't care. He opened the cage gently. The girl didn't move at first. He kneeled down and whispered, "Come. You are free now." She looked at him, confused, then scared. Then she slowly stepped out. She held nothing. She said nothing. Juno covered her in his old brown cloak. They walked through the crowd together. No one followed. No one cared. As they reached the edge of the market, a whisper spread through the traders. "Foolish human," they said. "He bought trash for trash. He will throw her away like all others." But they didn't see what he saw. They didn't see the tiny spark in her hands. They didn't see the flicker of energy that danced around her fingers. They didn't see her eyes change color for just 1 second, from pale blue to gold. And they didn't see Juno's cybernetic eye scan her twice and show 1 single word in red letters. Unknown origin. Back on his ship, a small rusted freighter called the Dustwalker. Juno led the girl inside. The ship groaned like an old animal. But it was home. He gave her food. Simple bread and water. She ate like she hadn't eaten in days, maybe weeks. She sat on a small seat near the engine core, still silent, still watching. Juno looked at her again. "You have a name." She didn't reply. He tapped his wrist pad, ran a scan. No ID, no match, no species record. Like she didn't exist. He leaned back. "You're not from here. That's for sure." She looked up, eyes unsure but curious. He pointed to himself. "Juno." He said it slow, then pointed to her. She whispered, soft, so soft. No one in the market could have heard it. But here in the ship it was clear. She said, "Isla." That night the ship was quiet. Stars moved outside the window like slow fireflies. Juno sat near the cockpit, half asleep, his cyber eye still active, scanning power levels. Then, a spike, an energy pulse from the back room. He jumped to his feet, pulled his old blaster from the side, moved slow but ready. He opened the door. Inside the engine room the air was glowing. Lights flickered. Energy danced on the metal walls. And there she was, Isla, floating 2 feet above the ground, eyes closed, hands glowing like stars. Juno froze. His eye scanned again. Unknown power source. Unknown frequency. Unknown species. He whispered 1 word. "What are you?" The glow stopped. She dropped gently to the floor. Eyes opened. And she said, "I don't know." The stars outside moved slowly like cold sparks on black glass. Inside the ship the silence felt heavy, not empty but listening. Captain Juno sat in his old chair, 1 hand on the controls, 1 eye blinking with red light. He didn't sleep. He didn't speak. He just watched the girl. Isla. She was sleeping now, or maybe pretending. Wrapped in a blanket too big for her. Her body still, her breath calm. But the air around her was not calm. The ship's AI showed strange numbers. Heat where there should be cold. Energy where there should be none. Juno opened a small drawer, pulled out an old photo, a woman smiling holding a small child. He looked at it for a long time. Then he looked back at Isla. "You're not from here," he whispered. "And you're not just a girl." The ship made a low sound. Power flickered. A small warning flashed across the screen. Pulse detected. Origin. Crew member. He closed the screen with a sigh. Tomorrow he would ask questions. Tonight he would just keep her safe. The next morning the ship floated near a broken moon. A place no one visited. Dead rock, empty stations, nothing useful. But Juno knew a place here. An old shelter he once used after a battle. Hidden deep under the rock. He landed the ship soft and silent. No signals, no alerts. Isla watched everything. She didn't ask questions, but her eyes saw everything. She followed him without fear. Inside the shelter it was dusty and dark. Broken crates, wires, tools. Juno activated lights. The place came alive in soft blue glow. This was home once, he said. Before scavenging. Before war. Before everything. She sat on a crate. Looked at a small silver cube lying on a shelf. She touched it. It glowed. Juno turned fast. "You did that." She nodded slow. He scanned the cube. No power source. No battery. Just metal. "What are you really?" he thought. But he didn't say it out loud. Later he gave her clean clothes. Smaller jacket, gloves, boots. She looked almost human now. Almost. He made food. Simple soup from ship supplies. She ate quiet but faster than before. "You were floating last night," he said. "Your hands were glowing. Do you remember?" She looked down. Shook her head. But Juno noticed her hand. A small mark. Faint lines in a circle. Like a symbol. He scanned it with his wrist pad. No match. The AI spoke. Unknown genetic pattern. Unknown tech signature. Unknown memory structure. He frowned. Something was wrong. Or maybe something was very right. Isla stood up. Walked to the main panel of the shelter. She placed her hand on the glass. The screen flickered, then changed. Lines of old builder language appeared. Juno's eyes went wide. No one had used that screen in years. And it never responded to him. He whispered, "You're not just unknown. You're lost tech. You're history." Isla turned. Eyes wide. Voice soft. "They called me dangerous." "Who?" "The ones who made me." Suddenly the shelter's lights blinked. The ship's alert rang inside. Incoming signal. Unmarked vessel. Fast approach. Juno grabbed his gear. Blaster. Shield belt. Isla stood behind him, calm, not scared. "How did they find us?" he said. She looked down. "I dreamed last night. I think I called someone. A mistake maybe. Or maybe a warning." Outside a shadow passed. The enemy ship landed near. Too clean. Too smooth. Juno pushed Isla into a hidden room. "Stay here. No matter what." She looked at him. "Don't die." He smiled. "Not planning to." Outside the door exploded. A figure stepped in. Helmet, black armor, red marks. No words. Just violence. Juno fired. The figure blocked with one move. Fast, powerful, not normal. But then, the sound. Like wind. Like music. The attacker froze. Looked behind. Isla stood in the open. Eyes glowing. Hands raised. The figure screamed. And vanished. Not dead. Just gone. Erased. Juno stared. Breathing hard. Gun shaking. You did that." She nodded. "I think I can do more." Silence again. But not the same silence. A new question had entered the room. A question with fear and hope. Who is this girl? And why was she thrown away like trash? It began with a hum. Not loud, not sharp. Just a soft, quiet sound that moved through metal. Through wires. Through walls. Captain Juno opened his eyes. He was on the floor of the shelter, still awake, still breathing. Isla stood beside him, watching the dust float in the blue light. Her face calm, but her fingers moving like she was listening to something no one else could hear. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded. But she didn't look at him. She looked at the wall. Then the lights blinked. The ship's AI spoke without warning. Energy wave detected. Source: internal, non-systemic, unknown signal. Juno stood up fast, checked his wrist pad. Numbers everywhere. Frequencies jumping like broken code. All starting from one location. The girl. He walked closer. Isla, are you doing something? She looked confused. No, but something is calling me. Calling from where? She didn't answer. Instead, she placed her hand on the wall. The same wall where she had touched before. This time the wall changed. Not just lights, but a map. Lines and stars appeared. Sectors. Coordinates. Symbols. Old builder code. Juno froze. He had seen that language only once. In a war briefing. A forgotten message from deep space. And now a child was unlocking it like a bedtime story. He whispered, "Why is this happening now?" Isla whispered back, "Because I'm waking up." The map zoomed into one point. A dark region. No name. Just a number. Sector 17K. Dead zone. Radiation clouds. No life signals. But the map pulsed there. A signal was waiting there. Still alive. Still sending. Juno connected the signal through his ship. Static. Noise. Then one word came through. Clear. Loud. Protect. Then silence. Isla fell to the ground. Her body shaking. Her hands gripping the floor. Eyes wide open but blank. Juno rushed forward. Held her shoulders. Isla, say something. She looked up. Voice trembling. I saw them. Burning worlds. Falling stars. And me. In the center. He scanned her body. No wounds. No heat. But her neural pattern was shifting. Something inside her was changing. Fast. The AI said. Warning. Bioenergy levels rising beyond stable human tolerance. Imminent surge possible. Juno grabbed a stabilizer pack from his gear. Pressed it to her neck. She gasped. Then breathed normal again. He sat beside her. Heart racing. Mind full of questions. What are you becoming? She looked at him. Not scared. Just tired. I don't know who I was. But someone buried me. Locked me. Made me forget. And now, pieces are coming back. She stood up slowly. Walked to the center of the shelter. Raised her hand. The map reappeared. But now it showed more. Paths. Hidden places. Builder archives. And something else. Symbols in red. Danger signs. Marked Watcher presence. Juno stared. Watchers. That name came from legends. Not real. Not proven. Ancient machines that hunted builder tech. Consumed it. Erased it. And now they were awake. Isla pointed to a mark near the edge of the map. Here. We need to go here. Now. Why? Because something is watching me. At that moment, the AI screamed a new alert. Incoming transmission. Encrypted. Source. Unknown. The screen turned black. Then white. Then showed a face. Not human. Not known. A creature with metal skin. Eyes like glass. Voice like static mixed with thunder. Return the asset. Or be erased. Juno stepped forward. This child is not yours. She is not a child. She is a lock. And we have the key. The screen vanished. Silence returned. But not the soft silence from before. Now it was the kind that waited. Like a breath before a scream. Juno walked to the ship. Started the engines. Looked at Isla. We're not safe here anymore. She nodded. I think we never were. As the Dustwalker lifted into the stars. Behind them the shelter collapsed. Rocks falling. Dust rising. Something had found them. And it wasn't coming for trade. Inside the ship Isla touched the map again. Her hand glowing faint gold. One word appeared beside the dark zone. Vault. She whispered. Maybe my past is there. Or maybe something worse. Juno didn't look away from the stars ahead. Doesn't matter. We're going anyway. She was landed hard on the frozen surface of an unknown moon in silence, followed like a blanket thrown over a scream. Elliot woke, first his shoulder aching his mind, fogging the cracked glass in a space window outside was only white snow and sharp wind, no sky, and a broken sky, only with two moons spinning like tired eyes. The voice was not hers. Syrah opened her eyes from inside and looked around confused. This is not a safe zone, she said, voice dry. This is not on the map. There was a child. Elliot pulled the emergency beacon offline. He had done it on purpose. He knew they could track standard escape paths. Crying without tears. This place was lost, erased from the colony network, a graveyard moon abandoned after failed mining operations years ago. No one came here now. Captain Juno stepped outside, boots sinking into the cold dust, the wind sharp like knives, for hours. The silence deeper than fear. Elliot breathing the area, found an old bunker buried behind shut doors, rusted. He didn't know what to do. Human code. He had scanned. He entered the override, and the door creaked open like something inside. Something was very, very different. The lights inside flickered alive as they stepped in. Older detected everywhere. Memory layered in dust and forgotten fingerprints. This place was a secret of vault. She is dreaming in data, and yet here they were hunted and hiding inside a ghost made of wires and memory. Only if Syrah looked around her body, suddenly her eyes smells like fear. But they were not normal. Elliot said nothing, but he felt it too. Something was wrong here. Something unblinking and watching. She grabbed Juno's through narrow halls, and he saw everything and screens that still blinked. Beautiful codes like they were covered in forest. They found the central room where bodies still sat in chairs, skeletons in uniforms. Alien, one of them holding a photo of a child and a note that said, "Forgive me, I tried." Explosions. Syrah covered her mouth, her voice a whisper. What is this place? Children. Elliot moved to the main console, connected his pad, and downloaded the last logs. The files loaded slowly. Old files. A small failed mission marked confidential, unauthorized hybrid breeding program project. Machines failed containment breach. A child stood in a pod. He kept reading each word heavier than the last Earth command had tried to create hybrid soldiers right here using alien DNA and human test subjects. She pressed the result was not life, but something else, something that broke the world outside and killed everyone before the door exploded. This is where they started, he said. This is where they tried to do what you are now. Run. Syrah stepped and back, then eyes wide. No wonder they called my kind of threat. They made us monsters before we ever had a chance to be alive. He had seen war. Elliot was about to answer when the alarm blinked again. Motion detected outside, but it was not the alien ship, not in her real eyes. Before this was different. That was my signature was human Earth command shuttle, and I don't know why. 5 minutes. Juno held her shoulder. Stared at the screen. Who were those shocked, angry? How did they get here? But they wanted me. Syrah's voice cracked. Not maybe they were never far. Maybe someone on your side was watching all along. Tried the door shook once, then twice, then burst open, and what stepped inside was not a creature, not a robot, not even a man dressed in Earth command uniform. Like it was wiped from history. Eyes empty like someone who had forgotten how to be human. The circle. Hello, Elliot, he said, voice ran a deeper scan. You were always clever, but never obedient. It opened. Elliot stepped inside the mark. Tight. What are you doing here? This moon is off encrypted. The man smiled. Nothing is something else when a weapon is missing, and she is our weapon. Her DNA was part builder. He looked at Syrah like a lab sample, not a person. She stared back like fire trapped in ice. But something in Elliot between. Moved in front of her. Juno, if she's a weapon, then someone created you. Can't have either of us. Saved me. The man raised a small device and pressed a button. Long-range scan fell to the ground. Her body shaking, her voice choking. Something inside her had been triggered. Something Elliot didn't know was there. Deep moon. Uncharted. He rushed to her, trying to break whatever signal was hurting her. And the man said calmly, she's built to obey, just like the others. You may think she's different, but she's not, and when she gives birth, we'll take the child too. Who you really are. Elliot's blood turned to ice. He grabbed the nearest pipe and swung it at the device, breaking it from the edge of their journey. Flew Syrah loud, and her eyes flared silver again. The air in the room bent like heat on metal, and everything went still. Anger. She stood slowly, pain still in her limbs, was fire rising again in her veins. No more, she said, her voice hidden inside a black nebula. No more cages. A man stood in the shadows. The man reached for another weapon, but Elliot was armor covered in dust. He tackled him to the ground, hands locked around his throat, eyes burning with something he thought he had lost long ago. Rage, love, purpose. The child survived. Syrah stepped forward, and the console lights turned blue. Her energy touching the system, unlocking something hidden. The vault opened, and inside was a file marked Project Child, the last piece of the failed experiment, waiting to kill, the only one that still lived. Back on the dust walker, Elliot looked at the screen, then at her. You are not a weapon, you are a key. But her hands Syrah whispered, then drawing shapes in the air. Circles. Lines. Symbols. Juno watched her. Are you okay? She nodded. But her voice was different. Stronger. Clearer. I was not supposed to survive. But now, I must remember why I did. The alarm was already screaming. Red lights dancing across metal walls. Engines shaking. Shields dropping. Systems failing one by one. Captain Juno pulled hard on the control lever. The Dustwalker spun through space like a wounded bird. Behind it, 3 black ships followed. Fast. Silent. No names. No mercy. Isla sat in the co-pilot seat. her eyes closed, hands glowing. She was not scared. She was calm, like she had seen this before in a dream. Missile incoming. The AI voice cracked. 12 seconds to impact. Juno cursed. He hit the thrusters. But the engines were tired. The old ship could not run forever. Then Isla opened her eyes. She reached forward, touched the screen with one hand, and time slowed. The missile stopped. Mid-space, mid-flight, frozen like it had forgotten what it was. Juno stared. You did that. Isla nodded. But I don't know how I know. She closed her hand. The missile shattered into dust. The chasing ships paused. Confused. That was their mistake. Juno flipped the ship. Charged the forward cannon. Fired. One enemy ship took a hit. Spun out. Lost in the stars. But the others returned fire. Harder. Angrier. We need to land. Now. Anywhere. The AI scanned fast. One location found. Uncharted moon. Surface unstable. One signal detected. Builder tech. Deep core. Juno didn't wait. He turned the ship. Straight into the gravity well. They hit the atmosphere like fire. Wings folded. Shields burned. Everything shook. Isla held onto the seat. Her hand over her chest. The mark on her skin burning gold. Then, silence. Crash. Darkness. When Juno woke up, he was bleeding. The ship was half buried in dust and rock. Smoke everywhere. Systems dead. Isla was already outside, standing on the moon's surface, looking at the ground, or maybe listening. He followed her, every step heavy, but something in the air felt old, electric, alive. She pointed at a crack in the mountain wall. There, something is calling me. They walked through stone and shadow, deeper, deeper, until the air changed. It wasn't air anymore. It was memory. The chamber opened like a secret. A circle of black stone. A pillar in the center. Glowing faint blue. Isla stepped forward. Her hand reached out. Juno tried to stop her. Wait, we don't know what it is. But her hand was already there. The pillar lit up. Symbols rose from the floor. Builder language. Not written. Not spoken. Just felt. Projection appeared. A woman. Tall. Eyes like Isla's. Voice gentle. Sharp. If you are seeing this, the girl has survived. And that means we failed to hide her. She is not a weapon. She is not a savior. She is both. We built her to remember. When the time comes, she will choose what to do with the truth. The projection faded. The floor shifted. Isla fell to her knees. More memories. More light. Too fast. Too much. Juno ran to her. Held her. She was burning with energy. But her eyes stayed closed. She whispered, I saw myself. Before I was born. I was created. To end something. Or to begin something else. Suddenly, a sharp sound echoed through the cave. Footsteps. Voices. Metal. The hunters had landed. Juno pulled his blaster. Backed into the corner. Looked at Isla. Can you move? She opened her eyes. Not gold. Now white. I can do more than move. The cave shook. Walls cracked. The pillar rose. And Isla floated. Energy flowed from her hands. Into the stone. Into the air. When the first hunter entered, he raised his weapon. But the weapon melted in his hands. Isla raised her voice. No more running. The ground exploded. Not with fire, but with light. And when it cleared, there was only Juno, Isla, and silence. The hunters were gone. Not dead. Not broken. Just erased. Like they were never born. Juno stared. Eyes wide. Breathing fast. Isla looked at her hands. Then at him. This is what they feared. Not what I can destroy, but what I can remember. It was raining. Not the kind that sings. The kind that whispers. The kind that feels like the sky is warning something below. A small ship hovered above the old Earth city. Silent. Invisible to human eyes. Covered in shadows and static. Inside, Isla stood at the edge of the window, watching people walk. Children laugh. Machines clean the streets. Ordinary life. Peaceful. But her eyes saw deeper. She turned to Juno. You never told me Earth was so loud. He smiled. It's always loud. But no one hears it anymore. They landed in an old zone. Abandoned. No signal. No people. Just cracked ground and dead cables. But Isla walked like she knew every step. Like the dust remembered her. Juno followed her through metal ruins. Half a city buried by time. She stopped in front of a broken statue. Something old. Forgotten. She placed her hand on the stone. It moved. Not fast. Not loud. Just opened like it had been waiting years to breathe again. A staircase led down. Deeper than any map showed. The air grew colder. Older. Like they were walking through history itself. At the bottom, a chamber. Black walls. Silver lines. And in the center, a sphere. Floating. Alive. Juno scanned it. Builder tech. But different. More human. Almost like it had adapted. Isla stepped forward. The sphere opened. Light poured out. Touched her mark. Her skin glowed. Her breath stopped. The AI activated. Voice calm. Voice human. Hello Isla. Welcome home. Juno stared. What is this? Why is this here? The voice replied. This is the Ark. A memory seed. Hidden on Earth for the day you returned. Isla looked up. Returned. But I've never been here. Not in body. But your code. Your origin. Began here. You are not just builder. You are Earthborn. Juno stepped back. Wait. She's human. Part of her, yes. Designed here. Hidden here. Protected by the ones who saw the war coming. Isla's hands began to shake. Memories filled her head. Not her own. Old ones. People arguing. Running. Falling. They said. We must keep one safe. One who remembers. One who chooses. Juno grabbed her arm. You don't have to see this. But she pulled away. I was made to see. The Ark glowed brighter. Revealed a second chamber. Walls filled with images. Wars. Planets breaking. The Watchers rising. Consuming builder worlds. And in the center of it all, a figure of light. A child. Her. The Ark spoke again. You were not made to destroy. You were made to decide. Suddenly the ground shook. The air cracked. Something had found them. Juno pulled his weapon. Scanned the top level. Ships incoming. Not Earth ships. Not builder ships. Watchers. Isla closed her eyes. And the Ark answered. The chamber sealed itself. Walls folded. Shielded. Changed into armor. The Ark was not just memory. It was defense. Juno ran to the controls. Can it fight? No. Can only wake what sleeps. And it did. From beneath the chamber, something rose. A second sphere. But not light. Metal. A machine. Old. But ready. Isla touched it. And it moved. Her voice was different now. Not louder. Just clearer. This was hidden. Because it can end everything. The Ark whispered. If you use this, you can erase the Watchers. Forever. Juno looked at her. And what happens to you? Isla looked away. Maybe I go with them. The ground broke again. Watchers arrived. Metal soldiers. Black eyes. Cold. But Earth did not sleep this time. The Ark opened. The machine roared. Light tore through stone. And for the first time, the Watchers ran. Silence. That was the first sound across the battlefield. Not guns. Not fire. Not voices. Just silence. As if the galaxy itself was waiting. The Earth sky was black. Filled with ships. Builder ruins glowing from beneath the soil. Watchers circling like vultures made of metal and memory. And in the center, on a broken tower, Isla stood. Hands open. Eyes closed. She was not shaking. Not crying. Not afraid. She was remembering. Juno stood behind her. His blaster shaking in his hand. Not from fear, but from knowing. He could do nothing now. Only watch. The Watcher fleet sent one final signal. Return the weapon, or we burn the Earth. Isla opened her eyes. Not gold. Not white. Now deep silver. Like moonlight wrapped in sorrow. She stepped forward. The builder machine followed, the arc above them glowing like a second sun. Juno called to her. You don't have to do this. She turned. I was made for this, but you were made by them, not by us. She smiled. Then let me choose for myself this time. Above them, watchers descended, weapons charged, skies opened, the arc activated. Ancient builder energy flew like rivers into the air. Lines of light, circles of defense. But it would not last long. Isla rose, lifted by power, not flying, just becoming. Voices filled the air. Not hers, not Juno's. Thousands, millions. The voices of every world the watchers had taken. The memories of people lost. They echoed through her skin, through her blood, through her soul. And then, the Watcher General arrived. Not in a ship, but in a body. Tall, dark, crowned with wires and armor. Eyes like burning mirrors. He laughed. You were sold for rotten fruit. A mistake. A forgotten asset. You are not worth the air you breathe. Isla did not answer with words. She raised her hand. And the earth itself answered. Roots of energy burst from the ground. Builder circuits once sleeping now alive. The machine behind her roared. Not with fire, but with memory. A memory of what life meant before the war. Before greed. Before fear. The watchers attacked. Fire lit the sky. Tore through buildings. Smashed into shields. But Isla did not fall. She sang. Not a song of beauty, but of truth. And the machines listened. Some stopped moving. Some changed sides. Some cried. Not with tears, but with light. The Watcher General charged. Screamed. Lifted his blade of black fire. And Juno stepped forward. Blaster in hand. This is Earth. And she is ours. He fired. One shot. 1 second of distraction. Enough. Isla reached the general. Touched his head. And he remembered. A factory. A lab. A voice. Telling him. This girl is worthless. And he believed it. And he killed for it. But now. She forgave him. And that. Broke him. He fell. Not dead. Just quiet. The watchers stopped. One by one. Like statues. Frozen in regret. Isla floated down. Touched the ground. And the earth bloomed beneath her feet. Grass. Flowers. Green life. Where nothing had grown for years. Juno ran to her. Held her. She was cold. But breathing. You came back. I never left. The sky cleared. The ships turned away. The war ended. Not with a scream, but with a choice. And the girl once sold for rotten fruit became the voice of forgotten stars. Some say she left Earth. Others say she walks among us. In every child who feels lost. In every soul who was told they were nothing. They called her worthless. But she became the galaxy's memory. And Earth's future.